You know, for over a century, we've thought of Alzheimer's as a one-way street, a slow, irreversible decline. But what if that's just wrong? Today, we're going to look at some groundbreaking research that isn't just trying to slow the disease down, it's aiming to actually reverse it.
And this right here has been the grim starting point for pretty much all Alzheimer's research for 100 years. A fixed progression of loss. Every therapy, every single approach has been built around this central idea that it's inevitable.
And this is the question that could change everything. A brand new study is challenging that entire century-long dogma, and it's suggesting that the brain has this stunning, hidden capacity to repair itself and even regain function.
So, to understand how this could even be possible, we first need to get what's really going on. It's not just about the plaques and tangles you always hear about. It's something more fundamental, a massive energy crisis happening inside the brain cells.
Okay, so the key player here is a molecule called NAD+. The simplest way to think about it is like a tiny, rechargeable battery inside every single one of your brain cells. I mean, it's not an exaggeration to say it powers almost everything a neuron needs to stay healthy, resilient, and, well, functioning.
And here's the problem in a nutshell. What researchers found is that in the brains of human Alzheimer's patients, these little cellular batteries are drained by about 30%, and they saw the exact same power drain in mouse models of the disease. This is not a small dip, folks. This is a severe energy shortage, and it's crippling the brain.
Now, you might be thinking, okay, well, let's just flood the system with more NAD+, right? Like some supplements claim to do. But this research actually warns that could be dangerous. You could raise NAD+ to levels that might even promote cancer. So the goal isn't some artificial super boost, it's about restoring a natural, healthy balance.
So they use this experimental compound called P7C3A20. And the best way to think of it is as a smart charger. It doesn't overcharge the cellular batteries, it just helps the cell maintain its proper NAD+ balance, especially when it's under the massive stress caused by Alzheimer's.
All right, let's dive into the experiment itself, because the results? This is where the story becomes truly paradigm shifting. This stuff is absolutely incredible.
The setup here was so important. The scientists took mice that were already deep into the disease. I mean, these weren't mice that might get sick someday. They had the pathology, the cognitive decline, the memory loss, it was already there. Treatment didn't start until they were 6 months old and went all the way until they were a year old, which for them is an advanced stage of the disease.
And the results were just stunning. The treatment didn't just halt the decline, it didn't just slow the progression. In 2 different mouse models of the disease, the treatment led to a full, total reversal of symptoms and pathology. Just take a look at this. In memory tests, the untreated Alzheimer's mice, well, they showed severe problems, just like you'd expect. But the treated mice, they performed just as well as the healthy, non-diseased mice. Their cognitive function was fully restored.
And this recovery wasn't just one thing. It was amazingly comprehensive. It wasn't just memory. Their spatial learning problems? Gone. Motor coordination issues? Fixed. That leaky, damaged blood-brain barrier we hear about? Repaired. They saw inflammation go down, DNA damage get reversed, and get this, they even saw enhanced growth of new neurons in the hippocampus.
This really illustrates the core idea perfectly. You start with a mouse brain that's sick with Alzheimer's, its energy balance is totally out of whack. And then the treatment, that P7C3A20 smart charger, it mediates a complete reversal. It restores that crucial energy balance, which leads to a brain that has, for all intents and purposes, functionally recovered.
So look, this is an absolutely incredible finding in mice. But the big question, the one we all have, is how does this relate to people? Does this whole energy crisis theory even hold up in humans? Well, first and foremost, yes. Like we saw earlier, they analyzed post-mortem human brain tissue, and they confirmed the exact same 30% drop in NAD+ levels in people with Alzheimer's. So the fundamental problem, that energy crisis, it's the same.
Now, this is what's really fascinating, and it tells us something about resilience. Scientists looked at the brains of a special group of people who had died with brains full of amyloid plaques, but never actually showed any signs of dementia. So what was their secret? It turns out their gene patterns suggested they had naturally preserved this NAD+ balance, making them resilient to the disease.
And that brings us to this number, 46. It might not look like much, but it might just be the most important number in this entire study.
So what is it?
46 is the number of key proteins that were broken in the exact same way in both human Alzheimer's brains and the sick mouse brains. And every single one of those 46 proteins was restored to normal by the treatment in the mice. This is a direct molecular link, a roadmap connecting the human disease to the successful reversal in the animal model.
So let's pull back and look at what this all means for the future. Because really, this isn't just another incremental finding. This is a potential earthquake for the entire field.
This quote from Dr. Andrew Pieper, the study's senior author, it just perfectly captures the new thinking here. It's a powerful message of hope. The idea that a brain damaged by Alzheimer's may not be lost forever, that it could actually be coaxed back to health. So the big takeaway is that this reframes the entire disease. Alzheimer's stops looking like this unstoppable, irreversible process, and it starts looking more like a state of diminished brain resilience. A state that, if you can just restore the brain's fundamental energy, might just be reversible.
And this shows that shift perfectly. For decades, the whole approach has been defensive. Fight an enemy you can't beat and just try to slow the decline. This research opens up a whole new, proactive pathway. Restore the brain's own resilience and actually aim for recovery.
And it leaves us with this final thought. This approach, restoring NAD balance, it isn't specific to just one type of damage. It's about restoring a fundamental property of health. So could the future of treating not just Alzheimer's, but many neurological diseases be less about attacking a specific problem and more about empowering the brain to heal itself?